familiares para que se controlen. Ahí se
Imagine being at a concert, a comedy show, or watching your favorite performer on TV when suddenly something unthinkable happens. The performer collapses, the crowd laughs, thinking it's part of the act. But then the horror sets in. It's real. Over the years, several celebrities have tragically lost their lives while performing in front of live audiences. Some of these moments were even caught on camera, leaving behind chilling footage of their final moments. And one of these deaths remains a mystery to this day, fueling conspiracy theories that something far more sinister happened. Before we get into these shocking stories, take a second to like, share, and subscribe if you love deep dives into bizarre and unbelievable moments in history. Every sub helps me afford more coffee to keep researching these wild stories for you. Now, let's dive in. The comedian who died on stage, Toomey Cooper. Toomey Cooper was a well-known entertainer, famous for his mix of magic and comedy. His entire act revolved around staged mistakes, clumsy tricks, and over-the-top reactions that had audiences in stitches. On April 15, 1984, Cooper was performing live on television. As he stumbled through his act, he suddenly clutched his chest and collapsed backward. The crowd erupted in laughter, thinking it was part of his routine. But behind the scenes, the mood turned to panic. The host and stage crew rushed to him, realizing something was horribly wrong. Cooper had suffered a massive heart attack right there on stage. While the audience waited for what they thought was the next part of the show, paramedics were desperately trying to revive him behind the curtain. Tragically, he was pronounced dead shortly after being rushed to the hospital. The audience had no idea they had just witnessed his final act, and he wasn't the only performer whose collapse was mistaken for entertainment. The wrestler's final fight. Mitsuharu Misawa. Mitsuharu Misawa was a wrestling legend in Japan, known for his intense, high-flying moves and technical skills. He had survived brutal matches throughout his career, but on June 13, 2009, during a routine tag team match in Hiroshima, disaster struck. Misawa took a suplex, something he had done thousands of times before. But this time, something was wrong. He collapsed, motionless in the ring. The audience waited for him to get up, but he never did. Referees and medics rushed into the ring, performing CPR in front of thousands of stunned fans. He had suffered a severe spinal cord injury, and despite their efforts, he was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. And he's not the only performer whose final moments were witnessed by millions. The tragic death of a wildlife icon, Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin, better known as the Crocodile Hunter, had spent his life pushing the boundaries of wildlife conservation. His energy was contagious, and his love for animals made him a household name. But on September 4, 2006, while filming Ocean's Deadliest near the Great Barrier Reef, he encountered something he couldn't predict. While snorkeling, Irwin swam close behind a massive stingray. Normally, these creatures avoid humans, but in a split second, the stingray raised its tail and struck Irwin directly in the chest with its barb. The barb pierced his heart, and within moments, his team knew something was terribly wrong. They pulled him from the water and attempted CPR, but it was too late. What makes this even more chilling? The entire incident was caught on film, but out of respect for his family, the footage has never been released. And unlike Irwin, some performers' final moments were broadcast to the world. The Daredevils' final walk, Karl Wallenda. Karl Wallenda was part of a legendary circus family, known for death-defying stunts on the high wire. He had spent decades performing, walking across some of the highest buildings in the world. But on March 22, 1978, at 73 years old, he attempted one of his most daring stunts yet: a tightrope walk between the towers of the Condado Plaza Hotel in Puerto Rico. With strong winds swaying the wire, Wallenda took careful steps across. But then, suddenly, he lost his balance. In a horrifying moment caught on camera, he plummeted to his death. The footage of his fall remains one of the most haunting moments in stunt history. But not all tragic deaths happen at great heights. Some happen in front of massive crowds. The musician who collapsed on stage. KK. KK, one of India's most beloved playback singers, had entertained millions with his soulful voice. On May 31, 2022, he was performing in front of a packed auditorium in Kolkata. Midway through the concert, he suddenly collapsed. At first, fans assumed he was just exhausted, until they realized he wasn't moving. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, but it was too late. The cause? A massive heart attack. It was a devastating loss for the music industry, but he wasn't the only musician who took his final bow on stage. The guitarist's last song, Pedro Henrique. Pedro Henrique was a rising star in Brazilian music, known for his high-energy performances and electrifying guitar solos. On March 12, 2023, during a concert in São Paulo, he was in the middle of an intense set when he suddenly collapsed. The audience gasped. Was this part of the show? It wasn't. Despite immediate medical intervention, he was pronounced dead at the hospital. His cause of death? Another massive heart attack. But some of the most shocking deaths weren't just accidents. The assassination of Christina Grimmie. Christina Grimmie, a talented singer who rose to fame on The Voice, was on her way to stardom. On June 10, 2016, after a concert in Orlando, she was signing autographs for fans when an armed man approached. Before anyone could react, he opened fire. Grimmie's brother tackled the shooter, but the damage was already done. She was rushed to the hospital but didn't survive. It was a horrifying attack that shocked the music world, but she wasn't the only performer who was targeted while doing what they loved. The fatal shooting of Dimebag Darrell. On December 8, 2004, legendary guitarist Dimebag Darrell was performing with his band Damageplan in Columbus, Ohio. Mid-concert, a gunman stormed the stage and opened fire, killing Darrell instantly along with 3 others. It was one of the most horrifying concert tragedies in history, but some deaths remain shrouded in mystery to this day. The mysterious death of Zoltan. Hungarian singer Zoltan was performing live on Swedish television when he suddenly collapsed. At first, people assumed it was a medical emergency, but later, theories began circulating that he had been poisoned. Many German and Hungarian newspapers questioned whether his death was natural or something far more sinister. Even years later, fans still believe there's more to the story. Live performances are meant to be moments of joy, excitement, and entertainment. But for these performers, the stage became their final resting place. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you love hearing chilling true stories like this, hit subscribe. Every sub helps me afford more coffee to keep researching these wild stories for you.